A foldable bike with mostly high-quality parts, reasonable pricing and big promises for outstanding performance. This is what we know about Ado's new A20F edition. Is it really a beast? Let's inspect. Hey everybody, good to meet you. This e-bike is called the Ado A20F Beast. It's an e-bike which doesn't really look much like a beast, probably with exception for these fat tires, which are supposed to contribute a lot to a very smooth riding experience. The interesting part about this e-bike is that it has most of the electronics of the Ado Air, which is another very lightweight e-bike which was recently launched on Indiegogo through a crowdfunding campaign. And yes, inside the A20F Beast we do have a torque sensor, and this is exactly, I was really excited to try it out. And all you have to do in this episode is to sit back, relax, get to know about all the strong and the weak sides. And by the way, nice to meet you, my name is Michael, and obviously in this episode I'm gonna take you on a ride with the A20F Beast, so time for inspecting. The sub-$2,000 e-bike segment has become a very saturated area with so many different offerings that it makes it super exciting and tempting, but sometimes also very challenging to choose the right one. Often we have to prioritize different sides, whether it's going to be the weight, the range or functionality, it's entirely on you, therefore carefully define your priority list. Around $1,700 is the price of this particular one, a bit more than Fido's M1 Pro and Engve's Engine X, which are among the closest rivals, I guess. But Ado promised to focus on better quality components and much better after-sales service. This is my second Ado bike that I try, and for a second time, quite interesting to unpack. They fitted everything within this cube-shaped box. I have to admit that unboxing of this one is easier as compared to the traditionally sized bike boxes, but I had to once again apply the option to open the box from the bottom, and you should do that too, unless you feel comfortable to lift up these around 27 kilograms of weight inside. I got the white color and I find it really beautiful. Beige and black are also available. My first impressions have been very positive. The paintwork felt solid, the components felt polished, and there haven't been any signs about things done out of too cheap materials, which is the usual feeling with many other brands which are oriented towards the budget segment. This bike arrives almost entirely pre-assembled. You only have to mount the handlebar. It's really simple. Just put it inside the tube, tighten the hex screw, and before firmly tightening it, make sure that it is well aligned. The stand, the seat post, the pedals, the key, and it's pretty much adventure ready. You don't need to mount the front wheel because it already is mounted. The fenders are pre-installed as well. Ado save you a lot of time and efforts. Now, before we go for some more riding tests, I'd like to introduce you to the most important specifications. A 250-watt motor with peak power of up to around 500 watts, 30% hill climbing, there's a torque sensor, the battery should last for up to 120-kilometer long rides and is removable. You count on hydraulic disc brakes, tires are with the size of 20 by 4 inches, a Shimano 7-speed shifter and derailleur, there's a LCD display, front and rear lights, and even a smartphone app. So the specs sound fantastic and make me think that this e-bike should be better than the competitors in this same niche, like the Fido M1 and M1 Pro, the Engine X by Engve, which I have recently tested and is also EU regulations compliant, which by the way the A20F also is. Here's the stamp. And also we know that the motor is 250 watts and pedal assistant goes as high as 25 kilometers per hour, but many of you would say 250 watts are not enough for an e-bike, which is, in my opinion, incorrect because it's not the wattage which matters, it's the torque. For instance, M1 and M1 Pro, which respectively have 350 and 500 watt motors, can extract less torque power out of the motor as compared to the A20F Beast, because here we rely on up to 67 Newton meters, and I can tell you that the acceleration can be super fast. On top of that, we have one huge advantage, a key differentiator, which is the torque sensor. It's a feature which automatically adjusts the acceleration and the torque output based on how much pressure you apply on the pedals. So if you go for more pressure on the pedals, the motor gives you back a lot more power, and that makes the acceleration extremely pleasing and very similar feeling to what the mid-drive motors are providing as well. There's something else I wanted to address, and recently a guy called Kyle has messaged me with a complaint that his frame on one of the Angua e-bikes broke after 2 or 3 years of riding it. This made me investigate a little bit more about the warranty terms of most e-bike manufacturers. And for instance, Angua indeed, they offer a 1-year warranty for the frames. Fido offer up to 3. Ado offer 10 years of warranty for this frame. And if that fact alone is not enough to convince you that this bike is good and made of quality parts, I think we should focus now more on testing so that we can see about the rest. The Ado A20F Beast happens to top the chart of my favorite foldable fat tire e-bikes. Yes, I like the feeling better than anything else tested up until now. If you get the chance to try out these bikes somewhere, I strongly recommend to ride them for a few minutes and you're going to sense the difference. In fact, I like the motor behavior so much that once again I believe in rear hub motors and their qualities and that they can be as fun as a mid-drive. Especially with short-based fat tire bikes, the weight distribution is not that critical, and riding of this Ado Moto felt extremely natural and pleasing. Now, there is no lever for acceleration, but using any of the 5 grades for pedal assisting is gonna make you feel as if you're flying. Yeah, some movement is necessary, but at mode 5, you just move your legs in circle and the bike accelerates. The feeling is comparable to Generation 3 Bosch mid-drives, in case you're familiar with Bosch back-mounting bikes. It looks like the battery and the electronics are another strength of the bike. It consumes approximately 15% battery per 10 kilometers, with moderate support by my side and riding at grade 5. Note that these achievements are based on winter-time riding, so in the worst-case scenario, a 90-kilogram rider can count on at least 60 kilometers when using mode 5, and I believe that you can easily go close to 100 kilometers with some more pedaling from your side. The battery in this bike is removable and you can charge it while it is removed from the bike. Also, when you need to drive with the bike somewhere, it can well fit in most cars' trunks because it folds. And if you want to ride it without motor assistant, you can keep the battery detached, which offloads another 2 kilograms. In terms of durability and safety, a quality frame, as stated it has a 10-year warranty, Ado in fact bring good quality even in the not so important components. A good crankset, good foldable pedals. For safety, the brakes are DY Island, apparently a no-name brand, which might be a good deal should you search for good value and are still effective in terms of braking. They don't feel as good as other budget brands like XOD, but are significantly better than the braking experience of Fido M1 series, for instance. While there is no rear suspension and the bike relies on the fat tires for good riding comfort only, there is a front fork. I'll be happy to replace it for something better, but haven't found yet a model that I can recommend with confidence. You can adjust the height of both the saddle and the handlebar, so everything is perfectly equipped to provide comfort and joy while you're on or around the bike. While there is no rack on the rear, there are fenders pre-installed. Better keep them because they're super effective, but without them, you gain 1 kilogram advantage in the pursuit of making the bike as lightweight as possible. And to the rather mediocre front fork, I'm gonna show you the 2 remaining components I could complain about: the derailleur Shimano Tourney, the TY200 series, and while I cannot complain about weird noises or inefficiency, it will get worse over time because it's a $15 component, and kind of sad that a bike which costs more than $1,500 doesn't use Altus or Diore, for instance. Saddle is comfortable, but the artificial leather scratches too easily. While riding, you're gonna notice the standard grouping of the tools on the handlebar. You have the brakes, the shifter, a bell, and a display, which luckily arrives with a screen protector. As you can notice, it saved mine from scratching, and I'm going to soon replace the protector with a new one. Shows a whole lot of information, and there also is a smartphone app. However, although I tried hard, I found no way to unlock the 25 km/h speed limit, but I haven't given up, and if you can help me, please comment below with the idea how I can actually unlock it. Before the wrap-up, here are the drawbacks that I believe are worth noting: the low-end derailleur, the saddle, which has poor leather quality, the weight, and maybe some of you would wish to have a throttle, but no such option for the European region, or at least not official. But there generally are very few things that I feel comfortable criticizing about the A20F Beast, probably with exception for the derailleur. I would happily replace it for something else, and luckily this is one of the parts you can very easily replace. But everything else is so well built. And think about it, the things that I usually criticize such kind of e-bikes for, like the lack of hydraulic braking, the lack of a torque sensor, the lack of a smartphone app, they are all present with the A20F Beast, which makes me think it's the contender for a most successful foldable fat tire e-bike in its segment. Do you agree with me? Do you think it feels like a natural upgrade to the Video M1 series and the older A20 series? It would be interesting to hear from you in the comment section below the video. Of course, in case of questions, I'll be happy to help. And maybe you might want to support the channel by at least subscribing if this video was helpful enough for you. And if you want to do more, or if you want to buy the e-bike, the video description area has all the links that you might want to check. So that's been everything about today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Michael. Wish you for a fantastic day. Ride safely, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.